Hello everybody, it's Smudge. We're back again for episode 6 of my world tour. Today we're going to be flying from St. John's, which is in the kind of eastern edge of Canada, and we're going to be flying down over Nova Scotia and Halifax, down into New York, landing at Teterboro Airport, which is just to the north of Manhattan. So we'll get underway straight away. Should be about 3 hours of flight, I think. Winds and weather and everything like that dependent. So we'll crack on, get underway, and yeah, hopefully have a safe journey. Just realised not plugged in my get those plugged in. Default, because having everything ready to go would just be far too easy. Alrighty. That's all working. We'll close you up. So it's looking quite sunny here. Should have a few hours of daylight left before we need to before we have to land. So that's in cutoff. That's fine. Everything else there's off. So we'll turn our nav lights on, panel lighting as required. Crash bar up, battery on, and generator on. Everything should start coming to life now. Okay, our Garmin there. Cool. Then we'll go. So ignition's on. Auxiliary boost pumps on. Fuel select to automatic. Autopilot switches on, or autopilot trim switches. And then just checking around here, everything there's okay. And then we'll go starter to on. Wait for the RPM to start climbing. So they're going up, so we'll move the fuel cutoff to low, which starts pushing fuel into the engine and gets that turning over. Hey, Matthew. Yeah, continuing our world tour, buddy. How are you doing today? Your mum told me that you're not feeling very well today. Cool. So that's there, so I'll put that into high. And we'll turn on bleed valves, and then torpedo switches. It's outside's +3, so we don't need icing at the moment. It's when it gets down to my -3 that you need to start thinking about icing and stuff like that. We shall contact. Nope, don't need ATIS. Well, I suppose we can use that to get our barometric pressures. Three 3001.
Ground Daher November 171 Mike Sierra IFR to Teterboro, ready to copy.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra is cleared to Teterboro Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 34 climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 125.075 squawk tree 12 tree.
For God's sake.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra cleared to Teterboro Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 34 climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure on 125.075 squawk tree 12 tree.
Cool.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, read that correct. Contact ground on 121.9er. Good day.
Ground Daher November 171 Mike Sierra with Echo ready to taxi IFR.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra taxi 2 and hold short of runway tree for via taxiway Kilo Hotel Golf Foxtrot cross runway 20 Delta. Contact tower on 120.6 when ready.
Turn on the taxi ribbon because, again, don't know the airport.
Taxi to and hold short runway tree for using taxiway Kilo Hotel Golf Foxtrot cross runway.
Okay, so we're pulling out to the left.
1 Mike Sierra. Ground Daher, November.
So we'll push back and then request pushback to the right.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra pushback request accepted.
Ground Daher November 171 Mike Sierra requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
So we'll turn the parking brake off and then we should start moving backwards. That should do that.
Ground Daher November 171 Mike Sierra requesting the end of pushback.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra request to end pushback received.
It's like an extra 300 over there. Oops. Just wait for pushbacky dude to get clear. Don't want to blend him on the way out. Okay, so power up. Make sure that the controls are all responding, which they are. Fantastic. Yeah, I was watching the weather here today. It snowed a little earlier on. There was some snow down kind of over Halifax way as well. But it should just be cloudy, I think. It's not due to rain till much later on in New York. We're gonna have to steer around that guy. Good job parking on the old taxiway there, pal. Ah, hello, Oliver. And how's Oliver doing, Matthew? Certainly covering some miles on the ground before we take off here. Again, got a glider parked over there in one of the parking bays. They had a glider parked over there when we came into land, which seems a bit weird. They've got another one over there as well, like another glider. Random kind of aircraft choices to have parked up just off the runways and stuff. That's quite funny. So we're crossing the threshold of one of the runways here. I don't think there's anything coming in. We're not being told to halt, so we'll continue. Probably not an active runway at the moment anyway, even though it looks pretty close to the SOC. There's a fair amount of wind here at the moment as well, 20 knots. So I'll hold here, she'll stop. Jesus. And then we'll contact ground and request permission to take off. Let go of the brakes and she starts rolling. That was fun.
Tower Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, ready for IFR departure, runway, tree 4.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra, altimeter tree 0.01, wind tree 7 at 17. Cleared for takeoff, runway tree 4.
Cool. So we'll go flaps down, landing lights and strobes on. Just sweep around here again. Icing not required. We're above freezing. All switches seem set. Bleed.
Please acknowledge.
Oh, yep, sorry.
Cleared for takeoff, runway tree 4 Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra.
So we'll take a runway here. We'll do a run up and then get going. So brakes on, again just sweeping the switches, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And then we'll power up. Flaps are in takeoff. Okay, brakes off. Airspeed's coming alive. Knots, rotate. There we go, positive rate, gears coming up. Okay, 120 knots, flaps coming up. Trimming back a little bit just to help keep the nose up. We'll clear the runway direction and we'll turn on to course.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, contact Gander Center on 125.075. Good day.
Going to 125.075, Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, is at 1,600 feet, climbing 6,000 feet.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra, Gander Center altimeter tree 0.01, continue to Perlu as planned.
So I'm just manually doing the turn here. Once we're kind of in a general direction, we might set the air conditioning on. In fact, outside air temperature is dropping there. There's ice forming on the window. I'm not sure if that's coming through on the stream very well, but yeah, it's time to actually switch on the icing stuff. Continuing our climb up to 6,000 here. Moderate turbulence. Okay, we're on course and on track. So straighten out. I'll turn the autopilot systems on. And then we'll set a climb. So just sweeping, gears up, flaps are up, lights are on as set, icing is set. Fair amount of headwind going on at the moment. traffic leaving St. John's behind us there as well. It doesn't look like there's any weather ahead, which is nice. Just moderate clouds.
Mike Sierra climb and maintain 10,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 10,000 feet, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
So we'll continue our climb up here up to our planned altitude, which is 10,000. Should just keep us just above the clouds. Looking like a fairly nice evening. Not too bad. Pretty cold out there though. -10 currently up at 10,000 feet. Looking very pretty down there. Well, this is us now for the long haul, so sit back, get a drink, something to eat, and yeah, that's currently saying that our ETA is 1 o'clock in the morning, which I'm hoping is wrong. I was hoping that's going to come down, but that seems to be going up. Yeah, we are facing a 35 knot headwind, so we've got 182 knots indicated, a true airspeed of 211 knots, but we're only doing 178 knots over the ground. So that sucks. That's really bad. Just doing some math in my head. So we got 3839. So we've got 277 gallons of fuel. We're doing a burn rate of 55 gallons per hour at the moment. That gives us 5 hours endurance. So that leaves us in 2 hours short, when really I should have had an extra hour of fuel on top of. So that headwind is really screwing with us. Pooh. So if that's the case, we might need to divert into Halifax and kind of cut the leg in half, because that's just going to take far too long and far too much fuel to get to Teterboro as planned. Yeah, that's a 40 knot headwind on the nose now, which is really bad. So I'm just looking at live weather, and that should really be a northerly coming down from the north, so it should be a kind of a crosswind into a tailwind from our right, but instead that's coming as a southerly wind head on. So it's almost like the wind data is reversed, which is really strange. Yeah, 15-mile-an-hour wind from the northwest, flowing southeast, which is completely opposite to the wind that we've got in game at the moment. 71% humidity, feels like -1. Pressure 1018 HPA. Hum. Right. Thought I was coming up.
Going to 1 tree, 2.1 Daher, 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center, Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, 10,000 feet.
Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, Gander Center, altimeter tree 0.05. Continue to preliminary. as planned.
I'm just doing lots of thinking. I think that we may have to land in Halifax. So let's see if we can get that information up. Not sure if it'll show up on nearest airports. It's not showing up there yet. We'll keep rolling. We'll go as far as the fuel can take us and then see what airports are nearby. So that's Halifax Airport there, which is on our route. We've got like Portland that way. Well, I was saying that though, I mean, it seems to have given us an approach which takes us almost to bloody Texas to come back to land in Teterboro. Whereas I wonder if we could get a straight in, because that approach seems really weird. That's what's adding on the extra hour. It must be an approach in from the east. Let's have a look. Flight path. God's sake. It's been poo. See if I can scroll up on that one and then adjust the flight plan, or see what the flight plan looks on the other one. See if we can cut the corner on that. So if we go approach. Okay, that one's worse. Maisie, I think, is what we were on, wasn't it?
Tower 1 Mike Sierra, contact Gander Center on 134.9er. Good day.
134.9er, Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Gander Center, Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, 10,000 feet.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra, Gander Center, altimeter tree 0.07, continue to Forte as planned.
Humpty Dumpty Dum. So we go Brad. I'm going to see if I can mess with my flight plan here a little bit. See if I can move Teterboro in before Brad. Or insert before Ren. Only option is to get to Brad and then maybe request a direct to Teterboro and see if we can get a different approach. Because I mean, looking at the wind direction, we'd want to approach from this direction anyway, because that's bringing us on an approach with a frickin' tailwind, which makes no sense. What if we delete? All of these. So that gives us a straight run in, which has shaved an hour off of flight time, which makes it a bit more reasonable. And then we could get to Millom and then see what we get on our approaches there. Right, let's rock with that, and then we'll see if we can't faff about with the old air trajectory control and get a more straight an approach. What's the worst that could happen, he says. Hey MCV, how you doing there, pal? You alright? Just trying to cut some time off my journey because it was giving me approach into Teterboro, which was going to take us about an hour in the wrong direction, then turn us back for an hour. So that's still putting us on 5 hours into Teterboro.
132.1 for Delta 67.
Which is going to be too much. I don't think we have the fuel reserves to get in there and do that. So we might miss Teterboro and end up at somewhere like Portland. Hey JT, thanks for joining the chat, guys. How are you all doing today? It is really nice. It looks really good. I'm currently kind of flying coming up to Nova Scotia, which is just ahead. It's looking pretty nice. Hi, Jacob. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes people come on, it's like, I think I know, but then it's like, right, okay. Yeah, so we've currently got a 46 knot headwind, which is killing all of our fun. On the live weather app I use, it's showing that we should have a wind coming from the northeast, kind of flowing southwest. So really we should have a tailwind through this portion, so we should be zipping along. But instead we're being robbed by about 10 knots of airspeed rather than gaining kind of 10 to 20 knots of airspeed. And that's put a real damper on our ETA and flight time. So this plane's got at best 5 hours endurance. That doesn't include, kind of climbs and maneuverings and patterns and landings and all that. And we're currently over that 5 hour allowance, which is bad. So I'm thinking about diverts and places we could go to if the wind doesn't swing in our favour anytime soon. Also, I programmed in the flight plan and it looked good, but then when I've just been checking that there, it put us on a really weird approach which took us like past New York all the way down to, I guess, Washington, and then back again, and it was kind of like, no thank you. Well, I'll keep an eye on our fuel burn, ETAs and time, and if we need to divert somewhere, we'll find somewhere and divert to it. Shouldn't be too much stress. Well, that's cool. Yes, mate, yeah, this is a continuation of my world tour, so we're taking off from St. John's. Our plan was to get to Teterboro, but the wind isn't playing the game with us. It's not blowing in our favour, so I don't think we're going to be able to get there. It was at the kind of limits of my range with a little bit of reserve, but now we've eaten into that reserve and more. So I don't think we're going to make it there. I'm going to have to kind of look at our fuel and then kind of make a decision as to if we go for it or if we try and find a divert field as we get closer, and then plan from there. Got an aircraft in behind us on this flight plan. I was just having a look at what that could be. So I guess looking at the map there, we're near Saint-Pierre and Miquelon. I cannot pronounce these things, I tell you, I'm rubbish at it. And there's no live traffic behind us, so I'm not sure who this guy could be. The only thing that is behind us is currently near St. John's, which is an American Airlines 777 flying to Miami, but he should be much further back and also further out to the west. So whether it's a player or just random AI traffic, it's hard to tell. yeah, coming over the end of Saint Pierre here. Now we've got a bit of water crossing before we get to Nova Scotia. I mean, we could try and aim for Halifax. It's a good halfway point, and then we'll know that it's about the same distance then to New York. I mean, we could even land Halifax, refuel, and then continue on. We'll see how things go. Hey MCV, no, not playing in VR. I do have VR, but I don't get along with it very well. I get a lot of motion sickness and stuff from it. So I have, I've got Track IR on at the moment, although I do have a Tobii eye tracker which works well with this. But I just find the Track IR works a little bit better than the face tracker, or at least I've just got it set up better for me. And I've been struggling kind of finding settings in the game to mess around with Tobii to get it how I want it to work. It's looking very nice down there, chasing the sun at the moment. So it's accelerated, JT. So you move your head a fraction, and the camera in the game moves a lot. It can take a little bit of getting used to, but honestly, after you've flown with it kind of half an hour, it's almost impossible to fly without it. So if I want to look behind it, I'm literally just looking maybe 5 to 10 degrees to my right. And then that gives me kind of like the full range of motion to look behind me. I look down a couple of degrees, so that's just literally like my head is pointing at the bottom of my monitor and I'm looking straight down, and if I look up at the top of my monitor, I'm looking pretty much straight up. So yeah, Track AR and Tobii, like I said, they've got accelerated motion, so you don't have to like crane your head to look behind you to a point where you can't actually see your screen. So yeah, it becomes very natural to use very quickly. And the good thing about Track AR and Tobii as well, it also gives you the 6 degrees of motion, so however you move your head is kind of accelerated, and in games you can move forward and backwards just by leaning forward and backwards. Tilt your head left and right, you can roll left and right, up, down, left, right. It does kind of everything that you need it to. It works incredibly well. If you fly DCS, I'd highly recommend Track IR. But if you just fly Microsoft Flight Sim, or you play things like Star Citizen, take a look at Tobii. That's Tobii, and their eye tracker. It is truly outstanding technology. It is really cool. So you don't have anything on your face. Like at the moment I'm wearing like a track hat, and that hat kind of helps with the tracking of where my head is. But with the Tobii, it just literally looks at your face and your eyeballs, and then you can literally just move your eyes to look about the cockpit, which is really quite cool as well. So whenever I look off to my right-hand monitor to look at the chat, that's why the screen skews over. Yeah, I've got a Oculus Rift VR. It's really cool, and there's a couple of games I do really enjoy playing in it. One of them's Hot Dogs, Horseshoes, and Hand Grenades, which is kind of like an addiction. I love playing that game in VR. But I find games that have any kind of motion, especially like DCS, flight sims, driving sims, it just plays havoc with me. I really struggle, and they say that the more you use it, the more you get used to it, and you'll stop feeling so sicky. But I mean, I've had the thing for a couple of years now, and I still really struggle with motion sickness in it. Well, get in it, Jacob, man. Go do some flying. Nothing stopping you, unless there's something stopping you, and then sucks to be you. But yeah, I really need a new computer, because my current system's running on a 1080 or 1080 Ti, an i7-3930K processor, which are all becoming quite long in the tooth, and had some Windows updates come up a few days ago, and one of the options was kind of upgrade to Windows 11 and click this button to see if your computer can do it. And I clicked the button saying, oh, you know, do the upgrade, and it just came back saying, no, your system's too old. And that just, you know, you kind of get that pang of like, oh. So yeah, might need to start saving pennies and beg, borrow, and stealing, and seeing if I can get a new system together next year. But it still runs at the moment. It runs this game okay, although you may see it on the stream, it likes to stutter every now and then as it's kind of buffering and streaming and loading and stuff like that. But it's still playable, it's still enjoyable, it still looks pretty decent. Yep, this is run off a 1080 Ti. It looks pretty decent. I'm running it on high. I can't run it on ultra. If I turn the settings to ultra, it just looks like hot garbage. It is really, really disgusting how badly my computer runs it on ultra. But on high, with a couple of things tweaked and turned off, it looks pretty decent. It runs pretty decent. As you can see, there's a little bit of blockiness to the clouds because I've had to turn the cloud details a little bit, but the ground still looks really good. The sea looks okay. Yeah, it's definitely passable on a much older system. Ah, right, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, crikey, yeah, 6 years ago. Yeah, but yeah, I got a Track IR3 off a friend of mine called Dave Hardy, or Wolfie. Must have been about 2006, because up until then I was just mainly using like the hat switch on my joystick to look about. And he said, you've got to try Track I, you've got to give it a go, you know, your life will never be the same without it. And he upgraded to a Track IR4, I think, and I think it was around that time it came out, and he gave me his 3, and that was like life-changing, like so cool. And then later on I got myself a Track AR5 Pro when that came out, and I've had that since. And I mean that's, you know, when did the 5 Pro come out? Let's have a look. Try and see when that came out now. Uh, 2009 Track R5 came out, so that would have been when I got that, so some time ago. And it's still running strong. It came with a Pro clip that lasted about 2 years until it just kind of turned to dust and fell apart. The natural point track clips are awful, like really shoddily made. They're just kind of brittle plastic, and they fall apart in your hands. But the track hat clip, and that's survived since I had my Track R3, and that still works really well. Just keeping an eye on my ETA here, it's not shifting at all. I'm still facing a 45 knot headwind, ground speed of 192 knots. Fuel burns at still 55 gallons an hour, which gives us the 5 hours of endurance. So unless we can shave an hour off this somehow, we're not going to make it. It does have me thinking that we might need to divert into Halifax, which is here. We're just about halfway through our trip. So I think what we'll do, we'll have a look at our fuel situation when we get to No Top, and then I might just make a direct for Halifax and request a divert to there. Definitely got building cloud as I shove my head out the window. Kind of losing sight of the ground there. Or the sea. I guess we're not really overground anymore. And one thing we could also try and do is climb higher. That gives you much more fuel efficiency. Just not sure it's going to make that much of a difference with this wind blowing in our face. See if we can request an extra 10,000. See what that looks like.
Gander Center, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra. Request flight level 200.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, climb and maintain flight level 200. Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, acknowledge last transmission.
Keep forgetting to do that.
Climb and maintain flight level 200, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
So we'll do a shallow climb. It'll take a while, but at least we maintain some of our airspeed on the way up. CYHC. Martha's Vineyard. Just playing with ideas in my head of places we could maybe get to. And that wind speed is going up as we're climbing. Here that's now 65 knots and our ground speed's gone down quite considerably, but I mean we'll go down a bit because we're climbing, but that's really starting to smack us in the face. Right, okay. Huh. Yeah, I've been told that like Half-Life Alyx is a really good game to play in VR. And I've got that, I just haven't got around to giving that a try. Parachute in but have a fear of heights. Well, that's one way to get over your fear. I can imagine. My very first experience in VR, well, my very first experience, I was actually playing hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades on a friend's VR at a kind of Landu get-together thing. And yeah, I just kind of hijacked his VR and played it for several hours. that was really funny. But then, like when I got my own VR, the first thing I did was fly Gazelle in DCS, and I was flying around Las Vegas. I was doing okay. I took off from Nellis. That's it. Took off from Nellis Air Force Base, just outside of Las Vegas, flying low over the houses on the way into Las Vegas. And I'm looking out the cockpit of the Gazelle as it's got that big kind of glass bubble cockpit on it. And I was thinking, this is really cool, you know, that this like a proper sensation of speed, and you know, like when you put in a bit of collective and the helicopter picks up, you're like, okay, you know, a little bit of vertigo kicking in, but I was doing okay. And then I came up to Trump Towers. Then as I was passing that, I kicked the nose back and did a hammerhead turn, and I just had to throw the bloody headset off my head and throw up. I was like, it was awful. I'd never been so sick in my life. Jesus, that's now a 75 knot headwind. That's disgusting. And that's literally added another hour onto our ETA. Yeah, I think I am gonna head for Halifax. So we'll get up to 20,000. I'll go back down to 10 because the wind was slightly calmer down there. And we're getting a better ground speed. And then, yeah, we'll aim for Halifax. I remember as a kid, I must, geez, how old would I have been? Maybe 9, 10, maybe even a little younger than that. There's a place near me called the Metro Centre, and it's like an indoor shopping mall to the Americans who are watching out there. And back in the 80s, they had a fun fair, like a fairground inside with roller coasters and stuff like that. And went there shopping, and my dad took, you know, used to always kind of take us into the fun fair bit to play in the arcades, or you know, kind of like muck about for half an hour to calm us down before we had to go look around some more shops and stuff. But they had this Afterburner. I don't know if you remember that game back in the 80s. I think it had not long come out, but they had Afterburner in this like clamshell kind of games console thing, and you sit inside it, and it swings left and right and backwards and forwards when you turn the stick. So in Afterburner, it's kind of like third person behind an F-14 Tomcat, and there's like waves of fighters coming at you, and you move the stick left and right and shoot at them. But as you roll the stick to the left, this kind of gaming rig kind of flipped itself over to the left, and you flip it to the right, it flips itself over to the right. It would twist backwards and forwards when you push backwards and forwards on a stick. And I think I lasted about the whole of maybe 4 minutes in this thing, because when you start the game in Afterburner, the F-14 takes off and it does a barrel roll like in Top Gun. And surely enough, you know, the F-14 takes off, it does its barrel roll, and this like rig that you're sitting in does this 180 flip. And like I almost lost it there, and I was like, oh god, that was awful, but okay. And then I started playing it, getting really into it, and this thing's twisting and turning. I was just like, I've got to get off. And I think I found like a nearest plant pot to go and bury my head in and throw up a life's worth of food. Yeah, and I think I've had motion sickness ever since then. Jeez, that's 80. No, we're going to have to go back downstairs, I think, because 180 knots. That sucks really bad.
Gander Center, Daughter Sierra. Request 10,000 feet.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 12,000 feet. Expect 10,000 feet.
Me. Okay.
Descend and maintain 12,000 feet. Expect 10,000 feet. Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
12. My level control. Yeah, I've been on what they call now, like those kind of big sit-in kind of like boxes that you go and have a screen at the front and they do like roller coaster rides and that tilt backs and forwards and left and right. I've been on those and I kind of get on okay with them. I've not had ones that have been blowing things in my face though while I've been on it. That's brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, so you've known the same pain. Afterburner was a cool game though. Trying to see if I can find a picture of there it is. Yes. Okay. Let's. Yeah, I found a picture of the thing that caused me a world of pain as a kid. Let's see if I can get this up here. Just be a minute here. Not sure how well this will come up, but let's see if I can get this on the stream here. There it is. So that's the machine I was on about. So you sit inside this thing and it's on a gimbal, so you can see. Not sure if my mouse shows up there, but yeah, around the outside you can see the gimbal bars that this thing twists and turns on, and you move the joystick inside there, and the thing can literally turn upside down on its head, like full 360 degrees of motion, and it was awful. It was the worst thing in the world, quite literally the worst thing in the world. And it's like, I'm sure there were people that got in there and thoroughly enjoyed it, but for me that was just a vomit machine, and it was just nothing but regret. But yeah, that was that was the afterburner machine of pain and death when I was a kid. brings back some memories. Jesus, Jacob, that sounds awful. I know what you mean, like they're kind of like G machines, aren't they? They pin you to the outside by spinning, and yeah, that doesn't sound like much fun at all either. This is looking a bit rough.
Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 10,000 feet.
Okie dokie.
Descend and maintain 10,000 feet, daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
Even though wind speed seems to be picking up here, but I guess that's kind of as we're I've left land mass behind, which helps kind of cut wind down a little bit at sea level. Real life F-15 simulator in a 16-bit world. I mean, the very first kind of aircraft, I mean, I'm going to put this in quotations, simulator, was probably Top Gun on the Atari 2600. I used to play that, and then I used to play Red Baron. We used to go down to see some family in London, and PCs back when I was a kid, like when I was a young, were really rare. I mean, it's like not many people had them, and I remember that this member of my family who went down London way to see had a PC, and he had Red Baron on there, and I used to love playing that, and that was kind of like 8-bit graphics, and like I suppose if you played it today it would look janky as hell, and you'd be like, oh my god, this is awful. But back when you're like, you know, kind of 5-6 years old, and you know, this is like the first time you've seen like a PC game like this, and it was just like one of the greatest games in the world. And then I remember when I went to kind of like I guess middle school, like what you get after primary school, they had like an IT department there, and kind of like after school on weekends and stuff like that, I used to meet up with a whole bunch of friends. We'd go and play things like Chuck Yeager's Air Combat and Command and Conquer and stuff like that, and that was really cool. River Raid on the Atari 2600. What's that one? I did play River Raid. I've just googled it, and I'm looking at it like, I remember that. Yep. Yeah, I think I had that one on there as well. Cool. I loved my Atari 2600 when I was a kid. It was like my favourite possession. And then after that I got a NES a couple of years after they came out, and that was really cool as well. That was your first flight sim? Wow. Yeah, it's had Air Combat on the Atari 2600 as well, but I don't know. I mean, I guess you could really struggle to call that a flight simulator because it was like 2D, and you had like a pixelated biplane that you moved about the screen and shot other pixelated kind of biplane things. Yeah, air combat. But I mean, you look at computer graphics today and the type of games that we get, like Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, compared to what you used to get on Atari 2600. And it's sickening, isn't it, really? It really makes you wonder what computer graphics and games are going to be like in another 20 years' time. I mean, are you going to quite literally be sat, in some kind of like really advanced VR where you can touch, feel, and smell everything? He's talking to me.
Going to 118.6.1 Mike Sierra. Mountain Center, November 171 Mike Sierra 10,000 feet.
November 171 Mike Sierra Mountain Center altimeter 30.
Pressure's going up.
Continue to no top as planned.
So I think we'd need to cancel IFR and then request a divert to a different airfield to get to Halifax. But I think we're going to have to do that. There's no way we're going to make Teterboro now with this headwind and speed and fuel remaining. Yeah, I know what you mean, how you feel as though it's got as good as it's going to get. And I mean, you look at like games on Steam, and I know that you shouldn't really pay attention to all games on Steam because 99% of the stuff now on Steam is hot garbage. It's complete rubbish. But I understand, that they want to support smaller developers and indie developers, stuff like that, and try and get their content out there, which is fabulous. I don't disagree with that, but you look at some of the stuff that they greenlight to go onto Steam, and it is just how, really, how have they managed to get that on there? But overall, even kind of like AAA games and that, the graphics quality on them hasn't really changed much in the past few years. It seems as though innovation has kind of come to a bit of a stop. But I think part of that limitation really is consoles, because nowadays more and more games are made for consoles rather than being made for the maximum that the current technology can produce. And I know that there are exceptions to the rule, things like kind of Star Citizen, I guess, in their own way, are trying to push the boundaries of what's possible, and there are other games out there that push to be as good as they can produce. But like a lot of AAA developers these days, EA and stuff like that, all just seem more interested in pushing out generic crap that looks much like the last game they produced 10 years ago. Yeah. But hopefully, in the next few years we might see another step change, I guess, I guess Sony have announced that they've got a Pro version of the PS5 coming out, and I'm sure Xbox will probably try and push something later on, but we might see some slightly more powerful consoles, which might again encourage some slightly kind of more graphically intense and good-looking games out. But it doesn't seem like there is much innovation out there at the moment. Hello again, Matty. How are you? Yeah, I think that the sooner things like Call of Duty and Battlefield come to an end, the better. Hashtag unpopular opinions. Yeah, but I guess the problem is people keep buying into COD, and you know there are people out there who enjoy it. You know that's their cup of tea. That's that's fine. That's their choice. But it's not for me. I don't enjoy COD, and I don't think I have done since maybe the original Modern Warfare. I think after that it's just become far too much kind of rinse and repeat. It's just very samey. Oh, no way! Texas has dropped for American Truck Sim. That's cool. Just having a look on Steam. That's I've not played that for a while actually. Truck Sim. Our biggest map expansion. Well, yeah. If you like lots of sand. I like that, the Texas-sized bundle with the Texas map and Wild West paint schemes. It's not bad though. On sale, £8.99 or whatever that may be in your. Oh no, sorry, that's Montana. That's on there. So $14.99 for Texas. May have to take a look at that when payday swings around. But at the moment, I'm only got enough money to eat my fingernails and dust. Something flying to the way over there somewhere. Can't see him out the window, but he is about 20 odd miles away. See if he's a wheel plane, something flying north towards Newfoundland. Hum-de-dum-de-dum, hum-de-dum-de-dum. Ah, there he is. Okay, so we've got a Israeli Airlines 787 flying from Newark to Tel Aviv. Well, that's something. Yes, that's what that guy is there. He's got a long old flight ahead of him. He's been in the air 58 minutes and he's still got 9.5 hours of flight time to do. Oosh. Crikey, that's a long old journey. Dust, your favourite snack. So whereabouts are you from, Jacob? I guess you're Texas way, yeah?
Egypt Air 982, contact Gander Center on 132.3. Good day.
Hmm.
for Egypt Air 982.
Alright, okay, Jacob. Hum-de-dum, pum-pum-pum. I think I'm going to go to Halifax. I might cancel my IFR, clear my flight plan, and then do a direct to Halifax. This is just, yeah, there's no way we're going to make Teterboro. Let's see if we can get this sorted out now. So if we go flight plan. What was it? It was CYHZ, wasn't it? C. No, not AY. Fuck's sake.
Moncton Center, Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra requests destination change to Halifax.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra is cleared to Halifax Airport as filed. Squawk tree 123.
We're on 3123 now. So.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra cleared to Halifax Airport as filed. Squawk tree 123.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, read back, correct. Radar contact 10,000 feet. Altimeter tree 0.27, turn left, heading 265, resume on navigation, descend and maintain 8,000 feet.
Turn left heading 265, resume own navigation, descend and maintain 8,000 feet. Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
So turn left heading 265, resume own navigation, but my own navigation wouldn't put me on 265, it would, unless that's okay, yeah, I see, right, okay, that's fine. Because I think the 265 is just direct to Halifax, but my heading is slightly off because it's compensating for the wind. So if I fly 265, that's going to push me left off course, so that's fine. So that's a direct to Halifax. As we approach Halifax, then we should get approach instructions.
Please expedite your descent 8,000 feet.
Jesus, love. Keep your knickers on. Texas. Yeah. I was going to say, I know it's Texas, but thank you, but I prefer it my way. In there with the gifts. Texas, but you know. We've leveled off now. I'm going to speed you up a little bit. We'll put a bit more throttle in. We've got a bit of fuel to play with now that we're heading into Halifax rather than Teterboro. We'll do Teterboro on the next leg, because it's a brilliant approach into there. But we're just kind of running out of time and fuel. I really struggle with pronouncing things anyway because I'm just a bit stupid. But yeah, certain things I just like to pronounce a certain way because it irritates people. Texers. At least with Texas, you can't be confused, can you? It's one place I've always wanted to visit is Texas. I mean, how can you not like a place which is just so open and free about the usage of guns? It's like every man, dog and child and cat seems to have one. I mean, how cool is that? I wouldn't want to go to Texas in the summer though. I think that'd be a bit too warm for my liking. Being British, I kind of tend to start melting as I get above, about 20 degrees Celsius, 22 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in American. Just got a stupid news feed that a Russian missile has hit Poland. Well, apparently Russian missiles have hit Ukraine. I'm not seeing anything on my news feeds about missiles landing in Poland. But if they have, then that's really bad because that means NATO has to unshackle its belt and start giving Russia a good whooping. Wow, okay, there we go. Stray missiles may have killed 2 people in Poland. Yeah, it's starting to hit my news feeds as well now. 23 minutes ago, Poland is hit by Russian rockets. Well, shitty death. That's not good. That's why Russia has to come out publicly and apologise and offer reparations to Poland. or the proverbial shit may hit the fan and things are going to start getting really bad. Roger, will do. Just looking on a flight radar near me, and just behind us there's a 767 flying from Chicago to near where I live in East Midlands. So that's quite cool. No ETA in his flight though. Looks like it's a cargo hauler, ABX Air. Cargo plane rather than passengers. And just ahead of us, what we might see shortly, is an Air India 777 flying to Delhi, followed by a 787 going to Addis Ababa. I'm probably murdering pronouncing that as well. But one of those out of New York, one out of Chicago. Starting to see, I guess it is Nova Scotia off to our right there. Looking very green. The last time I flew over here it was covered in snow and it was white. The whole thing was white. But a bit more power and speed up a bit. Hey, Jacob. Just reading news feeds about what's going on in the Ukraine at the moment. It's not good. Yeah, it does look like a mistake. They were saying it landed on a farm, killing 2. But still, I mean, any kind of incursion into another country's borders isn't going to be taken lightly. And I mean, wars have started over less, so I guess it is going to be a case of, an apology has to be written, or compensations and stuff paid by Russia, or well, that's not going to bode very well. Well, I mean, maybe over in Eastern Europe, I'd say it's probably quite scary. I mean, here in the UK, you see news reports and stuff about it, but for the most part, I don't think it's really kind of affecting our day to day at all. It's just, you're kind of looking like, oh, well, that's shit. But I mean, if Russia or Vladimir Putin does lose his mind, then I think it is something that's going to have dramatic consequences for the entire world rather than just Europe. But I know that at this G20 summit thing coming up, they're trying to get China to condemn Russia's actions, and like a lot of countries are jumping on the "We Hate Russia" bandwagon. So whether to put more sanctions in place, but is that going to force them into more drastic measures as well? It's a fairly slippery slope. So we can go down to 5,000, get a better look at the ground.
Mountain Center, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra. Request 5,000 feet.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 5,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
So get a bit closer to the ground and see more of the details and stuff like that as we're flying over the coast of Nova Scotia here. That should put us, I think, below the clouds, or maybe just on level with them. We'll see when we get down there. If we can go down to 2,000, we'll request that. Should be okay. It's looking quite nice there, isn't it? The sun kind of glinting off the water and being cut up by the land. So about half an hour to our approach into Halifax. Hopefully as we get a bit closer here we should be contacted by Halifax and given our approach instructions. Yeah, so we're a bit about caught up with the clouds at the moment. I think they must have about maybe 4,000 ceiling. So we can go down another 1,000 feet.
Mountain Center, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra. Request 4,000 feet.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
Okay, now I was just looking at that, so we're still on IFR clearance. So that's good rather than being VFR. So we can fly through clouds being IFR. If you're VFR, you're not allowed to lose sight of the ground. But yeah, that still works in our favour anyway. We can be low and look at all the nice trees. Look at the trees! Look at all the trees! Can't see any cars on the road from this altitude. Well, I'm not sure if it drew cards on minor roads like this. I know that you see them on highways and major roads and stuff. I'm not sure how much traffic you get on roads like this through Nova Scotia. That's looking really nice. Screenshot time! And look at that, you can see the rain just out to sea there, because that is rain burst. That's yeah, I love the way that the rain looks. So cool. Like light sweeping rain. It's just awesome. The trees! So many trees. Glad there's still certain places on the planet that haven't been stripped bare of of trees and life. Just looking at flight radar, there's actually a A321 landing in Halifax at the moment, flying in from Toronto. You can't see him. I wish they'd give us airborne contacts when you zoom out a bit further. So we've still got a little ways to go, but I imagine as we get to around this point here is when we should get our approach instructions before we enter the Class B airspace. maybe a little bit before then. Well, I guess we'll soon find out. It is on multiplayer, yep. So I've got it on kind of live weather, live time, live traffic with multiplayer. So as long as there's other people playing with the same settings, they should show up when they get within kind of 20, 30, well, is it 50 miles of us? Start showing up. That's really cool as well. Just to our north is a Royal Air Force C-17. Ha-ha! Yeah, he's just on the north side of Nova Scotia heading east. It's ZZ1, it's Liz. ZZ177 is Liz. That's the aircraft that flew Her Majesty's coffin during a funeral. Unbelievable. So if you have a flight plane finder or flight radar, if you just look north of Halifax, approaching Oxford, you'll see a C-17 flight number Romeo 6685, and that's Liz, ZZ177. That's really cool. Big salute to our boys in blue. And it looks like, where's Liz flying out of? So it's left Indianapolis International Airport, but it doesn't have a destination filed. But it's kind of heading. I wonder if it's heading back to the UK. It's definitely heading east at the moment, just south of Prince Edward Island. Well, I mean, I don't have much longer left on this leg, Jacob. About 20 minutes till we start our approach, kind of half an hour to landing, maybe. But yeah, sure, on maybe one on the next legs, as long as you promise not to run into me or something. When I get to New York, I want to do a sightseeing flight in a helicopter. Because obviously there's helicopters in Microsoft Flight Sim now and gliders. So when I get to New York, I want to take up the Bell Jet Ranger and fly around Manhattan. So that's going to be on the itinerary. And then when I get to certain stops along the route, I think I might see if we can do some gliding. But yeah. Nicer than just kind of sat on autopilot watching the scenery go by. At least if we're flying a helicopter, then get a bit more involved watching the scenery go by. So looking at the way that the aircraft are landing into Halifax, we should have a straight-in approach, which is kind of concurrent with where the wind is coming from at the moment. Be a passenger. Yeah, I'd have to add the weight into the back though. So I have put in the weight calculations for myself and the fuel, so that's kind of a bit more realistic. But yeah, I'd also have to calculate his baggage as well, which I know Jacob's probably going to be quite heavy, because he got a lot of baggage, don't you, Jacob? Got a windmill down there. plus meals. Well, how much does a bag of peanuts weigh? 500 grams? M16, 9mm and AK-17. What's an AK-17? Can't say I've heard of one of those. Okie dokie. Okay, so the AK-17 is what, a fictional? Huh. You would swap all that for a parachute. Well, that speaks volumes for my piloting skills, doesn't it? Yep.
Mike Sierra, contact Mountain Center on 135.3. Good day.
Yes, ma'am.
Going to 135.3 Daher 1 Mike Sierra. Mountain Center Daher November 171 Mike Sierra 4,000 feet.
Stick your head out. Hello.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra, Mountain Center altimeter 30.30. Continue as planned.
Okie dokie. Kind of ending up a bit in a soup here. AK-12. Okie dokie. Yeah, just have a look at that, because I'd never heard of an AK-12 as well, but I guess it's more like a variant of the 74 being chambered in 545 by 39. Yeah, because the 47 and its variants are 7.62 by 39, and then the 74 and its variants were 545. .50 cal. Is that not AS-12 rather than AK? Because I know there's an AS-12 shotgun, or AA-12. I never heard an AK-12 shotgun. Yeah, I was thinking of AS or AA-12. Because it was the ASH 12, ASH 12. That was 50 cal. Yeah, I think the Russian, looking at this, the Russian designation on it is SHAK, but it's also known as the ASH 12. Starting to get some low-level turbulence here.
Jet 8092, you are 74 miles west. Descend and maintain 15,000 feet. Expect vectors. Visual runway treat 6 approach.
Wish you could see aircraft when you zoom out a bit further. Does Halifax have a runway 36? No, 3214. Okay, so he's not landing Halifax, I guess. Jazz 8092. Look it up. So Jazz 8092, I guess, is Juliet Zulu Alpha JZA 92, which is Air Canada Express going into Sydney, which is behind us. So Sydney on the map is here. So he's here right now. Juliet Zulu Alpha 92 is right here, and he's landing Sydney here. And that's also where Liz is. So Liz is about here as well, so not coming up on our feed at the moment, but Liz is just to our north.
Jet 8092, you are 62 miles west. Descend and maintain 13,000 feet. Expect vectors. Visual runway tree 6 approach.
Yeah, so he's just off, I guess, just off our screen to the right over there. I wonder if we come up, we put north up. No, that kind of cuts it off a bit more. Track up.
Dollar 1 Mike Sierra, you're 75 miles east. Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 23 approach via above transition.
Sweet. So we've got our approach now, which is fantastic.
Climb and maintain 8,000 feet. Keep speed not above 210 knots. Expect ILS runway 23 approach via above transition.
So now what we do, so we've got our approach clearance, which is 23 approach via OTOV. So we'll go in here, we'll go to our program, approach, Halifax approach is ILS 23, transition, OTOV, and we'll load and activate that. And then we'll go back to nav. So now we've got our approach in, and then what we can also do, because we're on ILS 23, if we go to our runway information, in fact we can get it from here, can't we? Because we know it's already in there. Frequencies, go down, runway 23 ILS, and we'll activate that on nav1. So now when we get closer, we'll get our nav1 information here for our approach. And we've got the approach programmed in, so happy days. So I know that we're not going to be landing where we plan to, but I kind of like this because you have to think on the fly and change your plans and use the systems to reprogram everything in and get your approaches and clearances from ATCs and stuff like that. So it makes things interesting. It's kind of cool that we've had a ridiculous headwind for most of this flight, which has ruined our plans. So I'll go up to 8,000, then we'll probably get pulled back down to 2,000 when we get up to 8,000, because Microsoft Flight Sim's like that, but I guess the entry pattern is at 8,000. We'll be landing close to sunset, which is quite nice, quite cool. Just sweeping gauges, instruments, fuel checks, power checks, all that type of stuff, just to make sure that everything as it's meant to be. So coming up to about 50 miles or so from Halifax. About half an hour to landing, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. The thing is though, looking at that Ash 12, you know, and the rounds it fire, it really isn't. I kind of don't really understand how they can get away with calling it 50. I know it's 12.7 millimeters is the width of the bullet, 12.7 millimeters, but it's about half the size of a normal kind of what you'd really think as a 50 cal round, like a NATO, you know, kind of 50 cal. What's that, like 12.7 by 50? Is it? I can't. I know it's 12. I'm trying to think. Dimensions of it. So, like, Google to the rescue again. 12 by 7 by 99. Yeah, so NATO 50 cal is 12.7 millimeters by 99. And that Ash 12 fires 12.7 by 50, so it's about half the length. Cool. The update probably take a while. There was a huge update a few days ago for Microsoft Flight Sim, which has included more planes, gliders, helicopters, more scenery, kind of textures and stuff like that. So it might take you a little while to get through it. Looks like a really nice evening over Halifax as well. Or Nova Scotia. Bloody cold though. So the Bell Jet Ranger is included, I believe. I think that's I think there was like 2 helicopters included. I think was is it the Jet Ranger 206? And there's a I can't remember what the other one's called. It almost looks like a Mooney Bravo or something like that. It's like a much smaller, kind of spindly helicopter. I'm trying to think what the other one's called. So it's the Bell 407. And a trying to find it. Come on. Don't know. I'm trying to find information on it's like pulling teeth in Google. Come on. There we go. A Cabri G2 and a Bell 407. There are 2 helicopters included. And there's a glider, and I think there was like a Airbus 301, something like that, and a DC-3. So some pretty interesting aircraft included for free. Yes, we're told not to fly above 210 knots. So doing all right there. 209 knots is about as fast as we can go. Ground speed 210 knots, which is bang on the money of what we were told not to exceed. It's about, what, 13 minutes to the approach. I do like the skin for the TBM. Looks very cool. Whee.
Tower 1 Mike Sierra, descend and maintain 2,600 feet.
Yes, sir.
Descend and maintain 2,600 feet, Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
Yeah, by the time you've got it downloaded, Jacob, would probably be about the time I'm just shutting off the engine.
Tower 1 Mike Sierra contact approach on 119.2. Good day.
Good day to you, sir.
119.2 for Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
Starting to get some talk back from the localizer here as well.
Approach Daughter November 171 Mike Sierra is passing 3,800 feet, descending 2,600 feet.
Yeah.
November 171 Mike Sierra approach altimeter tree 0.6 continue to above as planned.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, I was hoping to get into New York and then fly the Jet Ranger about, but might do that tomorrow. Yeah, I think that'll be my plan for tomorrow. Is fly from Halifax to New York, and then take a Jet Ranger from Teterboro around Manhattan, land back at Teterboro, and yeah, and then the next leg will be Teterboro to Jacksonville or Teterboro to Miami. Now we'll have to see kind of what the weather is like and yeah, kind of how long we've got to fly. Starting to get kicked around a little bit down here again, which is always fun. Try and see if we can see Halifax. I guess it's over that way a little bit. Can't really see much of it. It's starting to get quite misty on the ground, which looks bloody fabulous, really. I mean, it has to be said that it does look really cool. Yeah, that low level mist is looking really, really spot on. I'm glad I've got ILS for the approach.
Maintain 3,700 feet. Keep speed not above 200 knots.
Climb and maintain 3,700 feet. Keep speed not above 200 knots. Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
That's weird that we're climbing from this to a higher altitude to start our approach. Yeah, okay. Good job. Oh look, there's someone flying over Halifax as well at the moment. Let's see who he is. So that would be a Air Canada regional jet actually coming in to land at Halifax. Interesting. He's landing opposing to our approach. Or he's going to... Yeah, because he's currently 500 feet and descending on an approach from the south. Which is weird. But okay. Cool. Good for you, son.
Daughter 1 Mike Sierra descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Jet 71990, you are 18 miles northwest. Descend and maintain 9,000 feet. Expect vectors visual runway tree to approach.
So that'll be this guy, I guess.
Descend and maintain 3,000 feet. Daughter 1 Mike Sierra.
Yeah, so in real life that guy's already on the ground, but in game they seem to have spun him into a different approach.
Mike Sierra, you are 10 miles northeast of Halifax. Contact tower on 118 decimal for when inbound.
Tower on 118 decimal for Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
There we go, so we're on localizer, we've got that locked. Glide slope's coming down, so when we meet the glide slope, that GS arrow will turn green, and then that shows that we're glide slope captured, and then we're on a hands-off eyeless approach. There we go, so GS has turned green, we're now on glide slope on approach. So we'll start slowing down, and then when we get down to about 140, we'll start lowering undercarriages and gears and stuff like that and get ready for landing. I know landing gear, I'm slowing down so I can put the landing gear out, you dumb bloody boys. So I'll go take off flaps there. That'll help us slow us down even further. Okay, so flaps landing gear out. We'll power back up again so we don't stall. So we're on glide slope, on approach, stabilized. Landing lights on, lights are set. All good. The Smoky Mountains. That's so cool, isn't it? Look at that, man. The sunset, low-lying mist.
Tower Daher November 17
Forgot to do that,
Mike
and I'm
Sierra,
already on my
5
approach.
miles
Hopefully don't get spun.
ILS runway 23 approach.
Daher November 171 Mike Sierra Tower. Altimeter tree 0 decimal tree for wind tree 37 at 12. Cleared ILS runway 23 approach. Daher 1 Mike Sierra wind tree 37 at 12. Cleared to land runway 23.
Should have done that about 5 minutes ago, but
Cleared to land runway 23 Daher 1 Mike Sierra.
oops. Wow, massive pause on the game there, but okay. But we're clear to land, so yay! We're not breaking any laws. We'll let the autopilot ride it right down to the wire, and then we'll take over for the final touchdown part. So just confirming, gears down, flaps down, lights are on, all set. Bloody thing chooses just the most awesome time to stick an error message up in my face, you absolute see you next Tuesday. A little bit of a crosswind going on here. 12 knots from the right. Oh, and then we reconnect. Awesome. Jesus, Microsoft Flight Sim, you piece of poo.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra exit runway when able.
Yes, sir. Let's zoomy, see where the next turn is. Okie dokie, so it's just ahead on the right. Boy, that crosswind's really kicking the tail about. Turn off the yaw dampers, start braking, we'll put lights into taxi, turn off the strobe. Then we'll take this exit.
contact ground on 121.9er.
121.9er Daher, 1 Mike Sierra. Ground Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, request taxi to parking.
Daher, November 171 Mike Sierra, taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Charlie Alpha.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Charlie Alpha Daher, 1 Mike Sierra.
Alright, okay, so that's Alpha. So I guess, where are we on Charlie now? I don't know. But there's the Alpha sign, so we can follow the Alpha sign. But we'll follow ribbon because, you know, it's handy. Another TBM? No, it's not a TBM, it's just got the high tail. It's like a PC12 or something.
Hold position, caution, other traffic.
Meh. Meh.
Daher 1 Mike Sierra, continue taxi.
Daher, 1 Mike Sierra.
You say traffic, but there's a bloody car parked right in front of me, you dumb ground controller. Asshole! Just as I said that, the game started, so I'm like, don't crash on me, please! What is it with ground vehicles being parked in taxiways at the moment? I mean, that's really pants. Maybe a Sobo or Microsoft or whoever can maybe do something about that, but that is pretty rubbish. It's just, I don't know, it's like you have a great flight, it's immersive and it looks fantastic, and then you land on the runways and there's bloody cars parked all over the place, and you're just like, ah, arseholes. He's telling me to turn right. Still turning right. And then come in and then stop. Stop! Brakes! There we go. Jesus, these brakes are crap. Sorry about that, pal. I didn't blend you. Okay, so we'll go parking brakes on so we don't roll into him and blend him. Then we'll go flaps up. Should have done that really when we left the runway. Turn all those off. We'll put throttle into low. Bleeds off. We'll turn off the icing stuff. Yeah, so 2 degrees on the ground currently in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That's pretty damn cold. Edged into shut off. Bye-bye then. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Autopilot trims off. Fuel select switch off. Boost pumps off. Ignition off. Right. And then we'll kill the battery and then we'll go to a post-flight report and see how we did. Cool, so we go. Took off from St. John's. Didn't get where we were aiming for, but we did a quite cool, successful divert there to Halifax. Total flight time 2 hours 30 minutes. So yeah, there we go. You can see my total flight time down there. That's scary to think that I've been flying Microsoft Flight Sim for 89 hours. Okay. Alrighty, well, I'll say thanks so much to everybody that's joined in our chat. Matty, Jacob, MC, who else we got? MCV. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. It's been brilliant having people to talk to on the stream. It really makes a difference, especially on the longer flights, having guys to talk rubbish with. So, yeah, you'll never know how much I appreciate you guys joining in and chatting with me. And hopefully be back tomorrow for another flight. We'll finally make it to New York. So I'll say